founder and CEO of Stark. It is a pleasure to have him on, Anton Wass. What's up, Anton? How are you, man?
Thank you. Good to be here.
Thanks for coming in.
Yeah. Thanks for the invitation.
It's great. I'm really stoked you're here. So, you know, you sold 24MX years ago and decided you had this dream of an electric bike. It took a while to get going. The press has ridden it. Everyone's ridden it. They're out now. They're out everywhere. I see them at the local tracks. There's 20 of them at the World Vets. You introduced a new on and off-road model. How's it going? Like, how is your dream, your vision, your everything? How is it going for you?
No, I think it's good. You know, it's we started with of course crazy dream, crazy goals, but you know, now production has been going for almost 2 years, and we have thousands of bikes there, a lot of happy customers, which is cool, and you know, constant challenges, which keeps you busy, and now the next one is to start shipping out some street legal bikes. So
yeah,
that's gonna be interesting.
Yeah, that's super cool too. You dropped that a little while ago. What has been the biggest obstacle that you didn't think about or you didn't calculate about as far as getting these out to the world or making them or anything? What has been the biggest thing where you're like, oh?
Oof, I mean, we have had so many challenges, but it's interesting what we didn't think about, because the hardest has for sure been supply chain. You know, when you start the factory, get all the components in, but we did think about that. So, fuck, that is a great question. I think regulation has been much worse than we expected.
Okay.
So we had, for instance, huge delays in US with their first deliveries, and we underestimated how much paperwork that we needed to do, even though we kind of thought that we did assume it's going to be a lot. But we were super late with our first deliveries in US, and that really sucked. And yeah, I think that was something that we underestimated for sure.
Yeah, the very first guy, Brian, I had him on the podcast show. As soon as he got it, he was 001 or whatever, 004 or something, whenever you put the deposit down.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
So he was a nice guy to talk to. What's been the reaction to the EX, like on off-road? It's street legal. What's been the reaction to this?
No, amazing. But I mean, it's kind of expected because, you know, since the launch of the MX, this is what everyone has been asking about. So finally it's here. It took us some time to deliver it, but feels good. And I think the reaction has been amazing. Most dealers have sold out the allocation that they got, and yeah, I think people are just ready to start riding it.
Yeah, it goes in reverse. It's got a reverse.
Yeah, I know. When I was at Alta, I had that problem. It wasn't supposed to be reverse.
Oh. Yeah, Chris, as you and Anton were talking downstairs before we got him on, I mean, electric bikes is, you were deep in with the Alta guys and a lot of hours logged on these things.
Yeah, I was just telling Anton of all the stuff, the struggles that we had, you know, and I would go up beat down by life up to San Francisco being like, oh my God, another week of this, you know, like, but then, like I said, I mean, every time it was improved, and then I could wrap my head around it, like, wow, there's a lot of capability. We can really do this. So, and then fast forward to now, when I got to ride the Varg, I was like, holy shit, like this is just a way better version of what I was riding.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I feel like the components, the brakes, the chassis on the Alta were maybe holding it back. Motor was cool. The modes were good, but I felt everything else held it back. And when I got on the Stark, it wasn't valved for me. It was I'm a little heavier than what it was. It was this firm setting that you can get. But I'm like, this thing's so good. Everything was so good on it. You know?
Yeah, like for me, the Alta was like an analog version, and now we have a digital version. Like it's just, that's the difference, you know? Like better power, more connection, a better chassis, even a lighter feeling. You know, even though we look on the paper how heavy the bike is. Yeah. On the track, it does not feel that way. So, and there's just, I don't know, what we call like track toughness in the world of testing. There was just more capability within this machine than there was with the Alta from different tracks, you know.
So, Anton, when I ask you about the biggest obstacle to getting these things rolling and getting them out, what, on the flip side of that, what has been the most rewarding of this journey and the most, I mean, I imagine you've heard from so many people, customers and influencers and, you know, all of this. What's been the most rewarding thing for you?
I mean, I think it's seeing some of the people that, you know, because I've been a customer in this industry my whole life, and then seeing some people that you've been watching their videos and reading about them for so many years, and them posting and saying good things about our bike is really, you know, can bring you to tears, you know. Like that's I think actually Travis Pastrana's review was one of those which, like, for me, I was, you know, warm in my chest for a couple of days, because it's someone that I've always looked up to since I was a kid, and he really liked the bike that we built, so that was super cool.
What's the coolest innovation for you of the bike? Like I think the phone, and there's, I talked to Ryan and he's like, I'm like, do these things get broken? Or he's like, not really. Like, they're pretty protected, and there's a phone on the Stark Varg, and you can literally be like, pull over the side of the track, tune your bike, put it in there, and go ride it. And I think that is so cool. Like, there's no iPhone needed and connection and everything else. It's instant, like whatever you want to try, and the braking regen on it as well. I think that's the coolest part of the bike. But what do you?
Yeah, I think the adjustability is super nice, and you can just, when you do riding in one day, maybe you want to change just for this part of the trail, or maybe you get tired and want to bring down the power on the motor track as well, and you can just do it with the touch of a button. And I think that's really super cool. But now the next step is bringing out curves, so you can not just adjust like 10 to 80 horsepower, but you can also, and I want a little bit more bottom or whatever it might be. I think that's going to be really nice next step on that.
That's the next step.
Yeah.
It's really cool to do that, and man, you can tell a difference. You can tell the difference in the.
For me, it's like engine braking feel. Yeah. Like if I want to adjust that, I can adjust it in or out or whatever. And for me, like you said, the adjustability of it. Just going back from when I was at Alta, there wasn't a lot of control with our power, and with this, there's a lot of control. Like you can adjust that.
Yeah. Have you heard or seen instances of people with backyard tracks that have these and they're able to keep riding, or tracks close by that they ride them to or whatever? Like, has that been a cool part of having this? Because again, the noise is a real issue in the industry. Tracks are closing, all of that. And I've had people tell me, man, I want to have a gas bike, but I want to buy a Stark for this property or this property that I have. And that's a great idea.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there are so many people that have been riding dirt bikes their whole lives, and they have property, but they can't use it. So, I mean, we have, hundreds of those stories, and that is so nice. But also some tracks, that they're open maybe, 5 hours Tuesday, 5 hours Sunday, and that's it. And suddenly they open 7 days a week for electric, which is also nice because the land is there. Yeah. And it was someone who said, I think it was someone from outside the industry, was like, wait, you're telling me that the motocross tracks are open only 2 times per week?
Yeah.
So like, if I wanted to go golf on a Wednesday, I couldn't.
Yeah.
And for us, we're so used to it. Yeah, of course, you have these slots, right?
Yeah.
But in every other sport, that's not the case. You can do it whenever you want, basically, and that's how it is now. So,
how's the U.S. market been for you? The all over the world you sell these things, but how's the U.S. market?
It's by far our biggest market.
It is.
Yeah. So I think very good.
And what's another strong one that you didn't really?
That was unexpected is Sweden.
Sweden, okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm Swedish.
Yeah, I was going to say they're supporting their countrymen, right?
Yeah, but more than expected though, because Sweden is a very small country, and it doesn't make sense. We're selling too many bikes there.
Yeah. Man, the Stark Varg, Anton Wass in studio here, CEO and founder. Also, by the way, the 7 o'clock hour brought to you the folks at Acherbys USA for the latest styles and colors. Acherbys is there for you, whether you need a new fender or you want to personalize your whole bike. At Acherbys USA, bringing you the 7 o'clock hour here on the show. And the EX is available now for deposits. When are we thinking EX is going to hit consumers' floors? Hit the garages.
Europe February, and US March.
March, okay. Oh, it's coming up then.
Yeah, it's soon.
What is different about the EX to the MX model? And obviously, we talked about the reverse a little bit, but is there anything else fundamentally different about it?
Actually, the MX also has the reverse.
Oh, okay.
But the biggest difference is
if I didn't know I had I would have asked Ryan to try reverse.
You didn't know that?
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I would have tried reverse.
Next time.
Yeah.
We got to get you a bike so you can do some riding.
Play around with it.
Actually, as I just checked when I was here today, there are quite a lot of ARGs around Las Vegas.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Okay,
so what's different?
What's different?
I mean, I think a big difference is the chassis. So the chassis has more flex of the EX than the MX. So we have done some changes there on the frame.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Then of course the suspension is different, which is a huge difference. It's a little bit softer.
Yep.
For that kind of riding, and of course the lights is another huge difference.
Yeah, and again, you guys, the lights on them are really cool innovation. Like it's really neat the way you did it, right?
Yeah, I mean it was one of those which should we take the easy path here and just buy something off the shelf, but we have a really hard time doing that, so we couldn't, and we had to develop something. But I think the benefit is that they are really, really powerful. So I've been doing some rides now before work. So usually I used to go out and run before work, or maybe a mountain bike or something like that. But now I've been doing like some 30 to 40 minute enduro rides in the morning. And in fact, that's so nice. Completely dark. And
so fun.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. But it's just scary though when you you still need a helmet lamp, because if you do like a wheelie or something over an obstacle in the pitch dark, you forget that it's night.
Yeah, exactly right.
You put up the front wheel and it goes dark. So
Yeah.
I was telling Ryan at Stark that, because we rode at Glen Helen,
yeah,
and obviously huge hills, right? And then you come down and there's some tight insides at the bottom of the hills, and so I think I liked 65, 67 horsepower. I think was what I liked.
fuck, that's quite a
Damn,
lot.
that's a
I
lot.
know.
Yeah.
Well, I'm fatter, and I don't know. I liked it. I just grabbed a handful and liked it, and on the big hills, right? But then you creep down on the inside, and you're like, I was telling Ryan that, and I was talking to Bogle about this too. If you were just more aware and more time, bang those maps down as you come down the hill into a 30. As you get through the berm and the inside rut, bang it again back to 65. Like if you could just get good at that, and I'm sure people are, but I would love to be good at it, to try that.
But that's a great question. I mean, I thought the same
Okay.
before, but I don't know anyone doing that. I don't know why.
Oh, once again, I'm an innovator.
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, Kiefer, no?
Yeah, I think
You're a better rider than I am. So
dirt
like,
bike, we're all wired one way.
Mhm.
And when you're trying to go fast, you don't really think about hitting something to do that. You adjust yourself but that's the capability of electric power. Like you can adjust it through the machine versus
yeah,
yourself.
but come down.
Yeah. Right.
30, creep around the inside, because Glen Helen's got that slippery, hard pack sort of stuff.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
don't want 65 horsepower.
When I
on.
do trail rides, I do it. So up the hill, I keep very low engine braking.
Mhm.
Right.
And then down, I put high engine
Sure.
braking.
Yeah. And you're a handbrake guy.
Yes, big handbrake.
Handbrake guy.
I love it. Yes.
I can see how, I mean, I'm wired one way, like I said, right? But I can see the benefit in some aspects. Like when me and Steve were at Glen Helen, I had one with a handbrake, one without.
Yeah.
It took me a few laps, but I'm like, oh, if I could just keep this right foot right here, it does help in some corners, you
Yeah.
know? Yeah, it's
And you can put your foot out, still brake.
yeah.
Yeah. Like I said to you before we came up here, I met the guy at Glen Helen, the World Vet guy, was like, once you get used to the handbrake, you never go back. Like it's incredible. It's amazing. This guy was just, I'm like, I don't know, man. It's too weird. Like it's too, and even Bogle told me, Bogle's so trained for racing that, and he gets in a holy shit moment, the foot goes down. Do you know what I mean? Just from years of that. So he said if he's full on racing, he still likes that foot brake because it's just trained to go,
Yeah.
which I get.
Yeah,
But,
sure.
but hey, you got the option.
Absolutely.
I guess, yeah.
Electric technology that's what my son was brought up on.
Okay.
Every day after school we had an OSIT, and we'd go in the
cool.
backyard and he would ride that. He would stand up and he learned a lot of his skills through electric power. And for me, it just every day after school we could ride. We didn't have to worry about going somewhere to go riding. We could just do and have all this fun and have this learning experience right in our backyard. So for me, I am more on the side of electric than I am against it, just because I see the benefit in all these things that we can do with it, to keep us on two wheels.
Yeah, Anton, I there's a lot of things in this world that I don't understand. And if you don't like the electric bike, cool, man. Keep your CR250 two-stroke, like no problem. But to just have those people out there that just hate the electric brand Stark, why? I don't know. Like, hey, man, don't buy it. But like all the benefits and all the positives are there. Like, I don't understand that part, and I'm sure you get it a lot too. And I'm just like, all right, man.
But I have a fun story there, actually.
Yeah, okay.
But I mean, I think it's quite enjoyable too. Like some of the comments are quite fun, So it's like you also got to be able to laugh, right? But there was, I think there was like one guy in particular who was like a lot of aggressive comments, or so there was someone in the marketing department like, let's call this guy.
Okay.
We need to understand what's
That's
up.
awesome.
Yeah.
And he ended up buying a bike.
Oh, stop it. No
Yeah,
way.
so that's like how how is that possible?
Yeah.
So that's just interesting, I don't know, I was just told the story by the marketing guys, like it was this guy who never stopped commenting like really bad things. So
He bought a bike.
Yeah, he bought a bike.
Wow.
That's great.
That's
I mean, hey, if it's not your thing, it's not your thing. Cool. Like, I get it. No problem. Like, I don't like green beans. But, like, I don't go on a green beans company account and just start hammering them with the green beans. Like, dude, just settle down.
I think, too, and me and Anton were talking about this on the break. When I was with Alta, they just wanted to hammer the combustion market. They wanted to go in. We're here to compete. We're going to take over. This is the future. And I don't see that with Stark. I see, like, here's an option. Here's what you guys can have. Here's what we've built. And it's as fun as your combustion bike and maybe better in some areas, but they're not hammering home like, here, we're here to take over, we're here to replace. And I think a little bit of Alta's marketing was a little bit aggressive, and I was like, whoa, we got to back that down, and I don't see that from them.
Yeah, interesting. Now, after we finish telling you how great the bike is and how awesome it is, Anton, here comes another question, though. Again, I rode it for 28 minutes. Battery was at 34%. Bogle is like, I can't really Bogle trying on a deeper track, can't really get a 30-minute moto in. And, you know, if you're a great rider, Chris, you're the same way. Battery tech, that's maybe the drawback that, and I don't know about enduro loops. I'm not sure how long you can ride it for on an enduro loop or how good of a rider you are, but there's no doubt the battery length of time is a thing that you got to be working on or thought about. That's the negative to the bike I see. Not so much coming in and charging it, because honestly, on my gas-powered bike, if I do a 25-minute moto, I kind of hang out for 40 minutes anyways, just because I'm old and I just want to talk to my buddies, right? So the length of time to charge, I don't feel like that's a big deal. But the time you can ride, where are we at with that? That's got to be an obstacle that you're trying to get better.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's really different. Like, if for most amateurs, like, there's plenty of range, like more than your stamina. But then for fast guys and for short pro guys, that's not the case. And I think this is one of the areas that will continue to improve, and we will see every single year that we will reduce charging time and we will get more range out of the bike.
Is that so? That'll be like a model thing where like every model kind of.
You know, we don't do yearly models. Like this is like we have a Starkvarg MX. Now we have a Starkvarg EX. They're a little bit different. There will at some point come an updated MX. Not anytime soon, but whenever that does, it's because we feel that we have enough improvements that it's a new model.
Is that software or hardware to fix that?
Hardware. We have done a lot of software improvements to increase the range, but then that goes for all the bikes, so not just new ones. But if we look at battery cell technology, a lot is happening. So if you look ahead a few years from now, there will be a huge difference from where we are now. Okay, so I was going to ask you, are there things in works? And there are battery tech. For sure.
To me, that's the only negative. Like Chris, your speed, you can't get 30. I mean,
like heat. Length of time, like all of that is a factor in battery technology. I was telling him earlier, like I feel like from Alta days, it has improved a little bit, but it's not such a drastic change. You know, like that is one drawback for what we do in the world of motocross. But on the flip side of that, I have gone trail riding or messing around with my buddies, and I've been out for an hour and a half, 2 hours on a battery.
Have you? Okay, I was going to ask, how long do you think
just depends how much you're riding, right? Like if you're doing drag races up and down hills.
But like a B-level rider on an enduro loop, like can you get it 2 hours?
I don't know about 2 hours, but you can. It depends how tight the terrain is. Sure. If you're riding tight terrain, you're on-off throttle, I think you can get hour and a half, 2 hours.
Yeah, normal enduro probably, yeah. If you do hard enduro, you can ride forever.
Okay, so I talked about my favorite setting, just at Glen Helen that one day. What do you ride at when you go ride moto?
MX, normally I'm around 55 horsepower.
55, okay.
Yeah, so we rode at Paris a few days ago, and I was at 55 and then 20% engine braking.
Okay.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. I started with, what did I start with? It was high.
Yeah, you're like 60.
Yeah, and then I told Bogle, and he's like, oh, no. So we backed it way down, way better on the regen. Yeah, I think I had 30.
Oh, okay.
So, I liked it better. But again, what cool adjustability.
Yeah, it makes a huge difference.
Yeah. And then again, like, man, I hate to sound this like a fucking Stark commercial, Kiefer.
I mean, so far it's been a blow
I know.
fest.
Well, I asked about the battery life. I did come in hot.
You got these comments like, oh, Steve's going to take money soon.
Dude,
But you haven't said that electric is gay yet. I mean, I guess
I haven't said that. Here's another thing. Like, dude, your kid, your wife, 30 horsepower. Go ride around the yard, or like, another great thing about it. Like So, I'm probably going to lose my Yamaha deal over this.
Right,
the Yamaha's going to take my bike, and
I will run.
Okay, thank you.
Give you a bike.
No, listen, I ride e-mountain bikes, and like I said, I just see the joy in this thing, and I see all the benefits of it. It's a high price. It's a little higher price of a bike, and the battery life is a drawback for sure. But other than that, man, I struggle to see a negative with this.
Like for me, and I'm just going to be real. If someone said, hey, Kiefer, you have a choice for the rest of your life, what do you want to rate? Of course, I'm always going to go to combustion. That's what I love. I love the smell. I love the feel. I grew up with that. That's what I like. I don't think electric technology, no matter how good, I don't think it's ever going to replace that feeling for me. But if I want to add to my experience or feel something different, it's a little bit different enough to where I'm like, oh, and gets me excited about riding again versus I don't have to really rethink how I ride. That's the benefit of it. I'm not hopping on a start going, man, this doesn't feel like a dirt bike to me.
Right.
Like it feels like a dirt bike.
Yeah.
So
totally.
That's kind of where I'm at. Like until they really come up with something different, I'd love a combustion motorcycle. But I have a blast on electric technology as well.
Yeah, 702-586-PULP. You got a question for Anton Wass about Stark or the models or anything else, give us a call. We got some tweets for you. We got questions from Instagram. So, we got the fans have reached out.
We got Angry Guy?
Angry Guy hasn't come in, no. There might be some angry ones. Racing with Stark. This is something you guys have dipped your feet in arena cross a little bit. There's a Stark only class, and then there's a mixed class as well in arena cross. I'm going to Reno this Friday, by the way. Yeah.
Cool.
Glen Helen World Vets, they were there. Obviously, Seb Tortelli is sort of on that category. Justin Bogle.
A lot of freestyle guys are now on
freestyle
Starks.
Guys.
Yeah.
I got to be honest. At first, I'm like, let them race. Let the AMA check the tunability. Do I trust the AMA to figure that out? Not really, but we can figure that out. I was like, what's the problem here? And I did battle Davey Coombs a little bit, and he's a fan of everything, but I'm like, can you put him in the vet classes? Could you let him in the vets? Like, I don't see the problem with that. So on and so forth. And so I was 100% like, what's the problem here? Part of me was like, hey, you didn't write a big enough check to join the party, and that's part of an issue.
Sure.
But now, Anton, having gone to the World Vets, late in one moto, I'm in like 13th, and I'm cruising it home on the last lap because I'm tired, Anton. I'm pumped up. I'm going to take my 13th and plus 50B. And this fucking guy on a Stark, who I didn't even hear, blows by me and grabs 13th from me on the last lap. So, I was kind of angry.
There's a solution to that.
Well, and then I watched, and then in other motos going up the hill, I watched a guy cut over on a Stark and almost kill him twice because never even heard him, right? So, I went from 100% let these guys race to like, wait, we got to fix the sound. We got to get a noise on these things to let people know they're there, to protect my 13th. And I talked to Seb Tortelli at Paris, and he said that's something that's on the line, right? Like that's an issue. Do you agree?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think we need to have it, and we are developing it so that that will come as just a setting on the bike. Do you want it to sound or not? But I think there's also something to that. Yes, you hear us much less than a gas bike, but it's not certain that you will hear a gas bike. You get my point?
Yeah, sometimes. Right?
I mean,
sure.
If someone comes behind you and they're not on throttle, you won't hear them. So I mean, if they're constantly behind you, you'll hear them now and then, and you're kind of know that they're there, but there's no guarantee that you will hear them. So like, if you do cross jump, you need to first look that there's no one behind you. It's not enough to just like, I haven't heard anyone.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would say most times, though, you hear them. Not a guarantee.
Yeah, most times, yes.
Not a guarantee. Yeah. But that's something you're going to work on.
We are working on it, yeah.
Have you been... MXGP came out with electric class, and you put out a PR that was like, we don't care. We don't want to race that class. I like the PR. It was great. But, you it seems like the Stark company mantra is we want to race with gas bikes. We can, there can be regulations and there noise. We can work on the noise. This is still your stance?
I mean, we want to be part of the sport. We are not here to replace gas, but we want to be part of it. And if we're going to be part of it, we should race together. And we do that today already in most countries in the world, and it's going very well. We have not had any issue. I agree, sound is a problem, but we have not had any real impact, as far as I know, from that. In terms of MXGP, which... Okay, that's the World Championship. So the best of the best should race here. The best bikes, the best riders. And today there is only one electric motocross manufacturer. And they published this championship without even talking to us.
Oh,
that's a little bit curious. How is that possible? And we have been trying to get into MXGP or just FIM racing in general, and that has been incredibly difficult. And one of the reasons is that the rules are in fact written by the MSMA, the Motorcycle Association, so the OEMs.
Yep.
They are the ones deciding what to do, what racing to do, what rules. Like, unfortunately, that's how it is. It should be regulated by FIM because they are the federation. But they have even told us they are just doing what the OEMs are telling them.
Yep. Which I get to a point. They are your partners. Without
Sure.
them, you can't race. Like, I get that part, but maybe not writing the rule book.
Yeah, I get it. Like, you need to listen to them. You
Yeah.
need to work with them.
Yep.
Absolutely. But who should decide on electric racing? You know, now we have the gas manufacturers deciding what electric racing should be, and they don't even have an electric bike. So, you know, then it becomes a little bit strange. And I think a problem with FIM in general, if you look at electric racing, and many of the times, I think maybe even intentionally it has been made quite boring. I mean, look at, I don't know if you guys follow MotoGP, which is...
I don't follow it, but there is an electric class, right?
They made an electric class and they intentionally made it boring, I would say. It's one manufacturer, the bikes are super heavy, low performance. They even, you know, shut off the music when they ride to make it extra boring.
Oh, okay,
You know, and I could understand it there. There are no electric bikes that can race on a MotoGP bike today. It doesn't exist. So, you know, like, there's no discussion to be had. We can race a gas bike. We can race a 450. We are equally fast, or faster in some cases. We do in some cases have a range issue. We feel confident we can solve that. I mean, in Supercross there's no problem. In outdoors it's very challenging. We would like to race outdoors against 450s in 26. Then we feel okay. At that point, we have confidence that we will be able to, you know, last the motos.
Yeah, you'll be able to do, and especially at like 50 horsepower or whatever, you know, whatever lower number.
Exactly. And it might be that, okay, this is this heavy sand track here, and we will have a big disadvantage. Fine, that's going to be one of those races.
Figure it out, right?
Yeah.
How much of it, though, like I mentioned earlier, like everyone writes a check, you know, to Feld, to in front. How much of it is that? If you can you just write the check?
We haven't written the check.
No, but if you wrote the check, would the rules change?
I don't.
Is that part of it?
He's treading lightly right now.
Well, I mean, but like when I go to Anaheim 2 this weekend, you were there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you just saw Suzuki banners and Triumph banners, and you know that's all just.
Ducati is now paying for something a whole year before they come racing.
Yeah. How about Ducati's parking spot?
I mean, it is, of course, it's a business.
Yeah.
And I understand that. Like, if you're not contributing, right? Like, you know, as long as you're not putting cash down someone's pocket, like that's completely wrong. If you are paying for this racing championship,
that's what I mean. Yeah,
sure.
Like no, I don't mean paying somebody. I meant sponsoring a series.
Like,
is that part of the issue?
I mean, there has not been like, you know, you have to pay us $1 million and then we go racing.
Okay,
but you know, we would be willing to pay as well as everyone else.
Okay, yeah. That's what I meant. So you'd be willing to do that. Yeah. To go to enter the private club of manufacturers if you have to.
Yeah, but we are not allowed in the room right now.
Yeah. Is it frustrating?
Yes.
Has it been frustrating? Yes. Yeah. And when you talk to MX Sports about amateur racing, AMA, I guess you would talk to AMA and not MX Sports, or maybe MX Sports. What's the pushback you get on vet class and AMA stuff?
I mean,
not professional.
I don't think there's so much pushback there. I feel that it's opening up a little bit slowly. It's opening up faster in other countries. But I mean, now we do have a mixed class sanctioned by AMA with Arena Cross, so and that's not amateur. But in terms of, you know, Laratarins and these, I'm not enough into details to really answer that. We want to be able to enter for us and our customers, and
sure.
we haven't had a strong pushback against it. We have perhaps not done the work properly from our side.
Why? You know, I don't think there's a CC limit for vet class. Is it like
it's open class? It's an open class.
It's open class, right? So like,
great.
Just go ahead and race, right? You know what? I forgot about the AMA being Arena Cross being AMA, because I know there's a Stark only class, like we mentioned. Yeah. But there is a mixed class, and so you would have had to get permission to do that. Yeah. UK series and the other series that you do, how is the enforcement of the bike and all of that? How does that work? How does it do it? Like, they don't just trust you guys to be like, hey, man.
Yes,
Like-
we have a race mode on the
Okay.
on the phone on the app, so that we can lock the bike during a race weekend in a certain max limit. So there's an MX1 and MX2 limit.
Yep.
And MX1 limit is 60 horsepower, MX2 is 48.
Okay.
That can be changed per country, of course, but that's what it is today. And then the bike is locked, and they're okay with it.
And they come and look at it once in a while, or how, do they walk over? I mean,
they have checked it. I think they have been especially thorough in France, where we have raced the Supercross series.
Yeah.
Arena Cross UK, that might be an open class actually.
Okay. But the France thing is
Yeah.
done that way.
UK Arena Cross is open.
Oh, it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
there's been no issues as far as like you guys lock the phone and you lock the map and it's been
UK Arena Cross we don't have to since it's open, but
Right.
in France we do that. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
There's got to be a way, like even let's say they come here in AMA, right? There's got to be a way. There's an official, electric professional official. Like he can go in, and while the guys are racing, he can go into your system and be like, make sure that you're on what you're supposed to be
Or
on.
what about if when you pull off the track, they do sound tests now? When you pull off the track.
Yeah.
So start guy comes off. What do you got? Let me
Yeah.
see your phone. Let me see that thing.
Actually, when you lock it in MX1, MX2, the LED on the switches to a specific color that only shows them. So it's you can even see it at a distance.
Okay. Yeah.
If someone is in the right or the wrong class.
Yeah.
And even afterwards, you can also check the data. I mean, the federation could if they would say, hey, this VIN number, we think that he cheated with power, or if it's a trail or something, we can even check GPS, which is of course pretty cool.
Right. Yeah. It's. I mean, yeah. This.
I think with Davey and those guys, I think it's more about safety than power. I think at this point.
That's what I hear from people I talk to. Safety
Yes.
things about being so quiet, and like I said, I witnessed it firsthand at Glen Helen. I lost that 13th place, so I'm bitter about that. But if you work on it.
Next time you got a race on a Stark, and maybe top 10, who knows?
Listen, I mean, Glen Helen, you may not know this, Anton, but Glen Helen's pretty loose on the rules. So.
Yeah. You can run 80 horsepower. I don't think anybody gives a shit.
There was zero rule enforcement at Glen Helen World Vets on anything.
Yeah. But he is right. Like even when I did a GoPro with the Stark, and I was riding late in the day, and came around, and I'm a good yeller when I'm on the Stark. Hey, and I'll yell, and it scares the shit out of dudes, right? So like, you have to consciously be aware that you're on a bike that no one can hear, right? And in today's day, I don't think a lot of us that ride dirt bikes are the smartest human beings, right? We're not the smartest guys, and you go locally, we're just going racing, and those guys aren't used to not hearing something. They're not paying attention. They're just trying to. I'm not going to crash. I don't want to crash.
Yep.
And you got some asshole behind you on a Stark, yelling at him and scares the crap out of him.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I like I said, I witnessed it. The guy up Glen Helen, 2 laps in a row, moved over on him. The Stark guy's like, ah!
Yeah.
Because probably didn't even know he was there, But Seb Tortelli, I absolutely have the biggest respect for him. When he was racing over here, I was a mechanic. He was the friendliest guy ever, and I loved his riding style. And he also dresses very nicely. I don't know if that's why he got the job with you, but
good-looking guy. You got to be good-looking to be a Stark.
Got to be good-looking. You got to dress well. Yeah.
We're out.
Yeah, no, we're done.
fucked.
He had a ponytail, but he lost it now.
He did have a ponytail. He had a little pony.
Dude, we fucked Darkside out of a job.
We did. You could have had a
Damn
job.
it. Oh my gosh.
But you've hired him now. What's his role? How's it been? What's it like working with Seb?
I mean, Seb is an amazing guy. A guy is kind of the wrong word because I'm not completely sure if he's human or not, but a special man.
Yeah.
I mean, today he's the racing director, so he is leading the racing department. He's still heavily involved in our testing. He used to be our testing director, and that's what he's doing today.
Yeah.
So he works with the riders, everything around it, the mechanics. He works with the federations as well.
Yeah. Sounds like Bogle deals with him, right? On this side, Bogle,
Yeah.
Justin Bogle's
Yep.
like that's his guy to deal with. So
Sure.
Yeah. So ideally, Anton, if you could just, wave the yellow and blue Swedish flag around and have anything you wanted, you'd race everything, Supercross, MXGP. I mean, you'd have teams and everything. Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
We were talking about 24 hours of Glen Helen.
Oh,
we should get a pulp team together on a Stark and race 24 hours of Glen Helen.
Well, how are we going to do that with the charging?
We swap the batteries.
There you go.
Oh, we swapped the batteries.
1.5 minutes.
1.5 minutes.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Maybe we should do something like that.
I got a question from Instagram about the battery.
Would
We'll
be
get
fun.
to in a second. That'd be pretty cool. Yeah, absolutely. Especially with the new model coming out too, right? How's let me ask you about this. We did have some questions about this, and it was something that I had written down too. Taddy Blazuziak, that was I mean, he's a big name in off-road, right? And it was a big thing for you guys. He quit. He was out. Can you talk about that a little bit, or what would the circuit? I mean, that was probably not ideal.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think it's important to always look at things like this from a bright side. You can always choose, you know, like are you good or you bad hat? And I prefer to choose the good one. And I mean, first of all, he's an amazing rider, 6-time world champion, and he has been a big part of helping us developing the EX, understanding the importance of the chassis flex and stuff like that. And he signed with us after he had emailed FIM and had a confirmation that he would be allowed to race in the Super Enduro World Championship. We had done the same, so you know, there were email confirmations on that. Then 24 hours before the first race, they changed the rules, which has never happened before. With the only thing they changed is to not allow us to race anymore. You know, that's extremely frustrating for us as a company, even more so for him, of course, because a racer is what he's done his whole life, and you know, he's told me himself that he felt like he was not taken seriously. You know, like Super Enduro wasn't important, because to him this is his life, and that someone would just like shut the door in his face on his whole career, basically. So that was extremely frustrating for him, of course. You know, still we continued working together. He was focusing on helping developing the bike. We did some small racing here and there, but we didn't do the World Championship. Then some way we managed to build a better relationship with FIM, and we were allowed to race this year. But then a bit similar thing again, last minute they come back and say, yeah, you're going to be allowed to race, but you're going to have a minimum weight and a maximum power.
Okay.
And the minimum weight was about 20 pounds more than Taddy's race weight.
Okay.
So we had developed his race bike for him that he was racing, and he was performing good at that. You know, he was some Red Bull races in UK, he was second place, he had the best qualifying time, like he was fast. And then they throw 20 pounds more on his bike and they reduce the power a bit in an open class. You know, so I think that was, of course, incredibly frustrating for him on top of what had already happened, and same for us. You know, that was but you know, we adapted to that. You know, we understand we are the new guys. We are happy that we are just allowed to be there, even if, you know, we have to be there with some let's say limits. But then Taddy struggled massively with the bike, you know, adding 20 pounds.
Adding 20 pounds.
That changes a lot of things, right? You developed it in one way, and then now
the flex of the chassis, suspension, everything. So he raced, but he didn't. You know, this is my opinion. This is not what he has told me, but I think he didn't perform as he expected, and that made him extremely frustrated.
Okay.
So, you know, he quit some races, didn't want to, you know, did some qualifying. There was some incident in
wheelied into a guy.
You know, and I think that's not the right way to show, you know, present yourself or our company for that matter. And I think, you know, we both felt that it was better to part ways. But then the discussion got a little bit sour somewhere along the way. Unfortunately.
He aired it out for sure. You know. Well, it's tough deal for sure.
But I feel sorry for him. I mean, I think you know, maybe right now we're not best friends, but you know, I think, you know, it's also possible to look past that and say, okay, he did do a lot for us, and we did do a lot for him. It was not his or our fault that, you know, so many branches were thrown in the wheels.
If the rules were different, things.
Things would have been different today for sure.
He's kind of a hothead anyway. I mean, I've watched him race over the years.
I don't know. I met him a few times. That's about it. I watched him in Endurocross.
He's a very aggressive human.
Very aggressive. Did you make any inroads or any meetings here in the U.S. at Anaheim with anybody? Like, was that kind of trip or no?
No, I didn't meet with AMA and Feld at Anaheim. We have a conversation, but in the end we didn't end up meeting, which I think was a little bit of a shame. But we met before. I had a meeting with all of those guys at Daytona last year, and let's see. I mean, I understand it's a big step to allow us to race, but I don't think there are so many negatives. You know, we're not asking to make the whole class electric. If you would take 2 or 3 bikes and make them electric, you know, everyone still has the sound there. And I think adding electric is, you know, just one more just one more excitement. You
Yeah,
know, like
yeah.
how are they gonna do?
Yeah.
You know, we're gonna be in some cases good, in some cases bad,
Mhm.
and you know that's gonna bring more things to talk about, more things to argue about.
Yeah,
And,
yeah, good for shows like this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, hey, you know, and again in arena cross we've seen it. They've done well. Other times they've been beaten. You know.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, it's really very like UK first season we won the championship. A little bit lucky, I would say, but Jack Brunel made it happen. Very consistent, and now lately in US we have been struggling a bit.
Yeah.
But I hope we can turn it around soon.
And I watched Thomas Doe in Paris, and he wasn't that good. You know, and Vries. I don't think Vries had a ton of time on it, but. I watched them and I'm like, you know, because I was looking to see like how good is this thing, like, and in some cases it was good coming out of a turn or whatever, but then it looked like the whoops hurt him.
Yeah, whoops, we are not good.
Yeah,
you know, that's really our weak spot, and we're trying to figure that out.
Is it just the weight, or is it more than that? The inertia?
You know, I don't really know, to be honest. We're testing many different things. Weight, I don't know. I don't think so. Like we're not that much heavier than 450.
Yeah.
You know?
So more just maybe inertia, things moving, things. I don't know. Yeah,
it's hard to say.
Yeah. Definitely, you're right. Both in the whoops, those guys didn't look.
I mean, we've seen some races. Bogle have looked really good in the whoops, but then some races like, you know, maybe not consistent.
Yeah.
You know.
How's Bogle been to work with? And he was over there a long time. He told me. He really missed America. He was over there a long time. But how's Justin been?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's been great to have someone over with his experience, and but I think, you know, in terms of the day-to-day things, I haven't worked so much with him directly, so it's hard for me to say really. But I think there has been some challenges for him to adapt to electric bike, but then some areas and some races we've seen that he really shines, and he looks amazing on the bike. And I think overall, very good.
Financially, as a company, units sold, things like that, meeting expectations, surpassing expectations. How are we on that?
I think we should be quite happy. Like, I think we're the fastest growing Spanish company in history, which is, you know, that should, like, it's right. We are on par with Tesla in terms of growth since the start, which is also not bad.
Seems all right.
But we are maybe growing a little bit slower than we expected, which maybe we just have too big expectations. But we're taking down the expectations now a little bit. And I mean, still, I think, let's say, maybe still in, let's say, very aggressive growth, but trying to be maybe a little bit more realistic. I think what has changed also, like, if we go back to the COVID days, the market was just boiling. You know, every single bike was sold everywhere, and there was an incredible demand for our bike as well. Now the market is struggling. We have huge discounts, 30-40% discount on new bikes, which is something never seen before.
KTM stuff going on, right?
Yeah, KTM, you know, on their way to go bankrupt, and that's probably limiting us as well. You know, so but I think overall it's good for sure. EX is sold out now for many months ahead.
Oh, it is? Okay. So they're always I don't imagine, I mean, I don't know anything about the cost to produce these bikes, but I am thinking there's not a ton of profit in these bikes. I mean,
no, I think
I get that.
No, there's a tight margin, of course. I think we have a healthy, like, acceptable margin, you know, but they are expensive to produce, that's for sure. Yeah,
for sure. All right, we got a call for you on 3 from Rick. Rick, what's going on? What's your question for Anton from Stark?
Hey, Rick. Hey, Steve. It's not really for him. It's more had questions about the development.
Okay.
The development writers in the U.S.
Okay.
You know, like I know Brock Tickle. He developed for Cowie. Well, wasn't it Tickle for Kawasaki?
Yeah.
I'm saying, and then like Travis Preston at Yamaha. You know, like I know the Yamaha was crap. Now it's a great bike, and like, you know, Eli's doing awesome. Cooper's doing great. None of those guys get a recognition. Like, they kind of built the foundation of the bike.
Yeah.
That.
Well, there's a lot of people involved. There's Japanese riders. There's engineers, right? Travis Preston rides. He has a lot of hand in it. Just like, these guys behind the scenes. Brock Tickle is more of a race team guy. He's not production bike guy.
I could speak highly on this.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things like
Yeah.
you take that job knowing that you're not going to – you're the guy behind the guy behind the guy. You take this on to make the bike better. You're not going to get any recognition for anything. So that's just what you accept.
Yeah. Yeah, life of a R&D rider.
Yeah.
I understand that, but everyone in the industry knows who did it, who changed the bike. And I just think that kind of sucks,
Okay.
because
Well, Chris, Rick here wants to give you credit at Triumph
No,
for everything you've done.
like Rick, I understand what you're saying, and sometimes like when I see things like having successes, like you have to be confident in yourself, knowing that you had a part of that, a little piece of that, and that is some of that to do with you. But people that take the job, similar to what I have, know that it's to make the brand better and the product better, and then whatever comes after that is on their own. Like you just have to be okay with that,
I agree. I understand.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's something that doesn't bother me. I've known Travis for years, and he's very humble, great guy. And
He's all right.
I'm
He's
like,
not that.
Yeah,
bad.
he's all right.
He's all right.
but I'm like, doesn't it bother you? Like, they don't even say, thanks to Travis. He helped us with the setting.
Yeah.
Like, you never hear that.
Well,
Right.
No,
I understand what you're saying.
If I was Eli, kick him down $1,000 here and there.
Oh, wow. Okay.
You know?
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
Well, here's the thing. Some of these racers, I don't think they know that Travis has anything to do with it, honestly.
Right. Yeah.
Like, Travis is so far removed from that because he's in production that, a lot of times production teams, R&D teams, and race teams don't even communicate, man. So you'd be surprised on how separate those two parts of the company are at times. Some manufacturers do it better than others, but some production side is one thing, and then the racing side is the other. So those don't cross over a lot.
Thanks, Rick. Thanks, though, man. Appreciate it. We'll tell Travis.
Thank you, guys.
We'll tell Travis that you're a fan. You're the guy.
And $1,000.
And $1,000. Kick down $1,000.
He'd like
Eli.
that.
Yeah. But Anton, actually, it's an interesting question though. First time you rode a Varg, how close was it to the bike you sold?
Oof, that's a good question. Yeah, first
See,
time.
that's what I asked. That's why I'm top journalist in this sport. Do you know what I mean? Like the first one where you were like, "What do we got?"
I mean, completely. We developed the bodywork twice, so it was a completely different bodywork.
Okay.
Similar ergonomics, but different. Chassis, like it's strange how spot on we were.
Okay.
Like,
What did you guys start out with chassis to build on? Can you say that?
I mean, we bought all the bikes.
Okay.
We analyzed them, so we scanned them, all of them in 3D. We, see the geometry, the ergonomics, everything, and we measured center of gravity, we measured weight distribution, and then we built jigs to measure flex of all the chassis. So it wasn't like, we want this bike. No, we measured all of them, and then we kind of like, okay, this is kind of where we want to be, and then we set targets for, where do we want center of gravity to be, what do we want weight distribution, what kind of flex do we want. And then when we built the bike, we were more or less spot on our target from the beginning. I think it was, I mean, of course, I'm not going to say.
That's rare.
I think Paul, who's my co-founder CTO, is an amazing engineer, and he and the rest of the team did a really, really good job, but it was like almost too close to the target. So it was also like, for instance, the triple clamp, like the first one, very good, but then we tried, 5, 6 others, different, and no, the first one was the best.
Right.
Yeah.
So it was pretty close actually. It wasn't a big change really.
At Alta, we had a Honda, so that the frame was basically a Honda Sierra 450 frame.
Okay.
And this, the measurements were the same.
Right. Were you always going down the road of KYB? Like that was just sort of what you thought would work best?
I mean, if you look at it from our position, I think KYB is known as, okay, this is the best suspension. That's what, more or less everyone's opinion. If you measured, KYB is number one. VP was not an option because, people don't like the suspension, and KTM would never want to work with us.
Yeah.
So then it's Showa or KYB, and we thought KYB was the best option for us.
Okay.
That's a good choice.
What's the one thing, battery life is obvious, right? But what's the one thing that you want to change on the next gen? If you could just do...
if we look ahead for the future, I really think the biggest opportunities are, lower weight, more range. These are the two things you want to improve. But we are super focused on titanium. So this is one thing with racing where titanium is more or less not allowed.
Yeah.
Which doesn't make any sense at all. I think it's because the rules are written, 40 years ago probably. But so we are super focused on titanium, not just shafts, but also in a full chassis and so on in titanium. And this can make a huge difference in weight saving.
Yeah.
So that's gonna be interesting.
Hey, Talon, we got a few questions at Twitter, right? At Pulp MX Show Twitter for Anton. Let's have them.
Yes, we had one on Taddy that we covered. Voice of the Drunken People. He asked, do you use Formula E as a case study on how electric motorsports can be successfully policed and ran?
No, he does not. It doesn't sound like
No. No, I think Formula E is it's interesting from a technology perspective. Like we look at what is the energy density of those batteries and so on and try to do something that's better.
All right, and then from Wingnut, he says there was some hope and anticipation with the release of the Enduro model that we might see a clutch. Can you talk about some of the obstacles for that becoming a reality, and if you did any clutch testing or development before ruling it out?
Yeah, I mean, the clutch topic, this is a big one.
Yeah, we had that conversation.
Yeah.
Yes, I mean, before we started deliveries of the MX, a lot of people were also asking about the clutch for the MX. Now I think, a long time since I saw a request for a clutch for the MX bike. In terms of the Enduro, I think what we see from our testing is, classic Enduro, we don't see any advantage. Hard Enduro, if you look at the race that Eddie did in Chile, I don't know if you guys have seen that, but that's an amazing race where he raced against Billy Bolt, for instance, and managed to lap him. I think Billy had some issues, but he did incredibly well. And I think where we see that the clutch could be beneficial, there are some tracks in Super Enduro where, well, if you look at Romania, the last Super Enduro World Championship race, Eddie struggled quite a bit, I think, and I think if we would have had a clutch, it would have helped him. Then, the bike is also heavier than it needs to be. That could also make a big difference, of course. I think a mechanical clutch doesn't make so much sense. On a trials bike that's electric, you do have it, but that's to load up power, because to
get up something or whatever.
Yeah, because if you spin up that high flywheel and release clutch, you have more than 100 horsepower for a split second, which is how you can, jump with the bike. We do have enough power on the bike, so it's just about how you control it. The mechanical clutch comes with, weight and service and other, disadvantages that we want to avoid. E-clutch is something that, would make sense. We have tried, we have developed, we have some e-clutches. I think there are very few occasions where it is beneficial. If you want to continue riding as you're riding today, you want to continue using a foot brake, you might as well have a e-clutch lever there.
Right.
Yeah.
But if you instead retrain and use a handbrake, there are much more advantages riding with a handbrake. If you retrain your muscle memory with that.
Ride like Tomac. You're going to ride like Tomac.
I mean, he will never do that. He doesn't even accept the hydraulic clutch, right?
Yeah. No, it's true.
That's so funny when he...
Yeah.
No, I think, it's going to depend a bit. But I think there is something to that what people are used to, and there's something to that. So maybe there is a space for it to also cater for people that maybe don't want to change the riding style too much. I don't know what you guys think about the clutch.
Yeah, I don't see a need myself. I'm not good enough rider, but
I tried it back when I was testing.
Yeah.
And it just didn't work as well as I thought it would work on electric technology.
Yeah.
It wasn't like...
Because it didn't get... I mean, you have...
It wasn't enough pop.
Yeah. Because you already have kind of...
So for me, it was pretty flat, linear, didn't make sense, and it added weight, just like Anton said, and it hurt the bike more than it helped. So that got chopped really quick.
All right. Anything else? No? All right. Anton Wass from Stark here. Maxima USA. Thank you to Maxima and ProFilter, by the way. Pulp 20 is the code to save with those companies. So if you need chain lube for your Stark.
No oil.
And just chain lube. No, SC1.
Okay.
MPPL.
All right.
Foot pegs and stuff.
All right.
There's a few products that Maxima has. Pulp 20 is the code to save with Maxima, and filters as well. You do not need a filter, but if you're a regular dirt bike, you do. Pulp 20 is the code to save with those guys, and use the code to save at Maxima and ProFilter. Thank you to those guys for coming on board. How long until you make big money offers for Lars and Oscar? How long until we see the Swedish...
I'm texting him every day.
Yeah. Oscar Werderman and Lars Lindstrom have defected to Spain to work for Stark.
Something about the Swedes, man. They're good-looking dudes.
Yeah.
All around. Yeah, we're out.
All right.
Maybe it's time.
What?
Maybe it's time for them to change.
Yeah. See, I know it. All right. Favorite Swedish hockey player?
Oof, I'm not into hockey.
Oh, really?
No.
Oh,
I mean, I think I only name Mats Sundin. That's the only name I
That's
can
the only
remember.
name.
Yeah.
Well, he was a Maple Leaf, and he was close to my heart.
Foppa, Forsberg.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Forsberg. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Where's that drop?
But I have never watched hockey in my whole life.
Are you serious? You're from Sweden. You never watched hockey?
I watched motocross. Come on.
Just want to hear the motocross stuff.
So, greatest Swedish motocrosser ever? Karlquist?
Bill Nilsson.
Who?
Older guy.
Oh.
He repaired I had a YC80 from 1971 when I was a kid.
Okay.
And he went to school with my grandmother, so he repaired it for free.
Oh, no way. Okay.
But I think
All
he
right.
was a world champion. At
I
least,
thi- What was the name?
Bill Nilsson.
Yeah, Bill Nilsson. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yep, I got it. Yeah,
Yeah.
he was. I think he was.
Yeah, a long time ago.
All right, we got questions on Instagram. We asked for questions for you. And is there a mini e-bike in the future plans for Stark? We got a lot of this, 50s, 65s, a lot of these questions. So
I mean, now we have a full size, right? And then there are these like kind of 50cc. There's nothing in between. I think it makes sense that something comes, but nothing short term.
yeah, nothing coming. Do they have MX Racer 98 says? Do they have any contingency programs for racers on Stark?
Yeah, we have just now. I don't know if it's released yet, but then it's released now. In that
Yep,
case,
yep.
we have set up a program where we will pay up to $2 million to Stark riders.
Cool.
So that's going to be a way to support our customers.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be
Cool. Awesome.
Yeah.
Have you made any trail stamp? Have you made any progress on extending battery life? We talked about that. Just battery tech. Another battery question. Do you think Stark could be implemented into Supercross? You do.
Yes.
Yep.
When? That's the question.
Yeah. Quick swap batteries in the future, less wait time for charging the bike. As you said, 1.5 minutes, but I do understand from talking to people the cost of a spare battery is an issue.
Yes, and
Yeah.
this is why we don't believe in swapping. And I mean, if you look at any electronic device, many of them have been swapping. Your phone used to have swappable batteries back in the days, but it doesn't have that anymore because
Yep.
it's just not convenient. And car industry invested billions and billions of dollars to figure out swapping batteries, and then they realized that wasn't a good idea. In our case, we don't believe in it because the battery is a very expensive part of the bike. So very few people would like to have several batteries. It's also super heavy. It's 70 pounds. So even if you can unclick it, it's still super heavy to lift it. So instead, we think it's better to develop a completely optimized bike that is, lower weight. The swappable battery brings added weight. It will compromise your chassis in several ways, not just weight. Could be how your bike flexes or maybe the ergonomics of it or things like that. Instead, I think really fast charging is the future.
Okay. Any big manufacturers offer to buy him out yet?
Not really.
Okay, not really. Okay, all right.
It means the offer wasn't good enough. That's what that
Right.
means.
Last Anders says, how much did you ride race growing up? I've never heard of him until the Stark venture. Well, I mean, this is probably an American saying this, and you're from Sweden,
Well,
living in Spain.
race. No, I'm not a good rider at all. I've done a couple of amateur races for fun only.
Okay. Oh, like your whole life? Like only a couple of races?
Is it maybe 2? I think 2.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
We have a huge enduro off-road race in Sweden, which is like a 3.5 hours with 3,000 riders. I've done that a couple of times. No, I'm not so much for racing. You know, I know that I'm slow. I'm fun, but
Will there ever be a cheaper, slower variant of the Varg? So just lower priced, lower.
Like a free ride, I guess.
Sure. Yeah. Like a free ride, right?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
could be sometime in the future. I think there's a market for that.
All right. And 18 more questions about batteries and 17 more questions about racing Supercross Arena Cross, which I feel like we've all covered.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so there we go on that. Instagram questions for you. Are you happy with the way the Stark has been received? I would say you have been.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, you've been stoked on that.
Maybe, I don't know if you covered this. Who makes the battery that you're using?
We produce the battery in-house.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's proprietary.
Yeah.
I'll be damned. Okay.
Yeah.
Did not know that.
Take us through the starting of 24 MX for you. That's you sold that, made a bunch of money, started Stark. Being Swedish, I assume you were there. That seems to me to be a hard place to ship from and get things from and produce great prices. You know what I mean, for all those reasons.
For sure, yeah.
So how did 24 MX become so damn big?
So I was 17 when Phenomenon was started. It was really a guy, Stefan, who decided to start it, and Then he brought in Daniel, and I was kind of there. I was an employee in the beginning, and then I became a shareholder later. And the three of us built it, and we built it up to roughly 150 million euro in revenue, which is what, $170 million or something like that. 400 employees
from Sweden.
Yeah, we started in Sweden, but I think Sweden is such a small country that you have to think internationally always.
Yes.
Like, Swedes are not so nationalistic. So for us, we entered that, we started working in 17 countries within, 3 years maybe, with all the local languages and stuff, because that's kind of an advantage and a disadvantage of having such a huge country like US, that a lot of companies stay here because the market is so big.
Yeah.
But if you want to build any kind of business in Sweden, you have to understand how to grow internationally. So that's what we did. We set up the main warehouse in Poland. We had the offices in UK, in Sweden, in Barcelona.
So you at some point you and your partners acquired it. You were just an employee to start.
I was an employee in the beginning. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And then I bought shares after.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then that's you guys worked together to really blow it up.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
And did you move to Spain for Stark, or were you already there?
I was already there.
Okay.
Yeah.
And why just better, not as cold?
I felt after, I don't know, maybe 10 years in 24MX that it was time, I wanted to do something new, and then we acquired a business there, so I decided to move there to implement them, integrate them, and I liked it.
Yeah.
Then when I sold my shares and left the company, it was time to start something new. When deciding to start Stark, though, it's, if you want to build the best motorcycles in the world, which is our ambition, you should be where people are already doing it. And no one is building bikes in Sweden.
Right.
So you cannot find people with experience there. There's a lot of companies in Barcelona in particular. You have Honda, Yamaha, Triumph, KTM, BMW, all of them are in Barcelona. So there's a lot of history there. A lot of motorcycle universities. You have a lot of testing grounds. So many tracks around. Yeah. So it's really a good place to be.
I've been to Spain once, but I've never really spent any time
come
there.
visit.
People
It's
like
great.
it, right? Yeah. People.
You know me, I don't like travel, but I
No.
like Spain a lot. Yeah.
Get him out of the high des of California, and he struggles.
Barcelona's awesome.
Yeah.
There's a lot, like you said, there's so many tracks there. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So when you were developing this, how hard was it to keep it quiet? Like, I never heard, Ben sent me the email. I did a Zoom with you, we talked about it when it first launched. I hadn't heard shit about electric bike coming. So how hard was it to keep it quiet in Spain?
I was surprised that we managed to. So we decided from the beginning to keep completely quiet. So no names of the company on LinkedIn or nothing. Everyone we worked with had to sign an NDA. Some strange way we managed to not leak out. I wouldn't have expected that really, but that was the goal, and we managed.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden it was like, hey, we got this bike. It's got KYB, blah blah, and I'm like, holy shit! So I never heard anything about it.
Yeah.
So,
That's tough to do.
Well, I mean,
but I think it's easier when you are no one, which we were then. If you, for instance, now that you have Honda and Yamaha developing electric bikes, everything leaks out.
Yeah.
Everyone knows everything. So.
Yeah, my next question for you: what do you think of this Honda? Trey Canard's raced it. I talked to Roger Harvey, who's the head of that electric department now. He's an old MX motocross guy, and they moved him over there. And it was at Majora when I went there this year. Checked it out. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's it's to some extent there's an issue with going all the way there, and you kind of see it with some of the big OEM of cars. If you don't go all into electric, you will have some unnecessary compromises, and I think we can see that with the chassis and so on. It is a gas bike with an electric motor and battery inside, and that I think you should rethink it if you build an electric bike. But the bike seems to perform quite well from what I've seen and heard. That it's a good performing bike. I think an issue with that is that the battery capacity, from what we can see. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I've been told it was less battery than yours and less horsepower. It's a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's
lighter. It's lighter, but it's
I don't know if it's lighter.
Okay.
I heard that it's heavier.
Oh, I heard that it's lighter.
Oh,
okay.
Let's see. Time will tell.
But yeah, they have a range issue. Same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I don't think that's the bike that they will start mass producing. I mean, I would assume it has maybe half our battery, just from
looking at it. Yeah.
Right. So that's not good enough to produce. I would assume when they start producing something, it will be different.
Right. And you think Yamaha's got something coming?
I mean, they have posted some patents.
Did they?
Yeah,
oh, okay.
So
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
why don't we know about? I'm a Blue Crew.
I've learned that this is what I've learned. I don't know if I can say this, but I've learned over the years when someone develops a bike, you got to use some different vendors, you know, to put on your bike. Not everything's proprietary made. And when you go to a different vendor, you can actually see who's purchasing things from said vendor.
Okay.
So you can find your way around a little bit when you go to these certain vendors that a lot of people use and see who's getting what. And then you can kind of piece some stuff together. Yeah.
Kind of like what I did with Ducati. Troy was getting someone in the industry to make something for Ducati. And this gentleman who I'm a friend of said, hey, I think Troy's got the Ducati team because I'm making all this shit for him. And I'm like, oh, okay. All right, cool. Right. I mean, it wasn't that hard to put together, but same idea, right? Where you're like, oh, you got to make parts.
There's certain parts of the bike that other people use, right?
Yeah. So, but I mean, I think Honda and Yamaha involved in this and getting into this is nothing but a positive for you, right?
I think it's great.
Yeah. Like you can't be like, oh shit, like.
No.
Yeah.
No, I mean, this was the goal from the beginning. You know, to inspire the rest of the industry. So.
Where were you at when Alta was taken off?
I was at 24MX then.
Did you follow their journey a little bit?
Yeah, I was super excited. You know, when I saw it, I was fuck, this is so cool. I want to buy this bike.
Yeah.
Did you have the idea of starting one or no? Nothing at all.
No, I mean, when I saw them, it was like great. You know, because I've been thinking about it since before. And there needs to be an electric dirt bike. You know, and then they come out. It's like amazing. They're doing it, and it looks like they're doing a pretty good job. So now I was just excited. You know, and then a bit sad when they went bankrupt.
Did you ever get to ride one?
We bought one.
Okay.
So after we started Stark, I rode it, not before.
Okay.
Where'd you find one? Just in Spain?
We bought it in US actually.
Oh, did you?
Shipped it over.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, Chris, you know way more about this than I do, but it wasn't the motorcycle that the reason Alta didn't work.
No.
I mean, there were staffing, business issues, capital issues, building it, you know, right?
It wasn't the motorcycle.
Yeah, like it wasn't like no one bought them.
Motorcycle was promising, you know, and I think they were they bit off a lot, right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's interesting when people say, "Oh, electric bikes fail because of Alta." It's like, not really, and that's not the whole enchilada there.
Right.
So,
it's hard to start a brand new company. It's tough.
For sure.
Yeah.
I mean, building a electric vehicle manufacturer is among the hardest things, you know, of all the businesses. I think, you know, just look at the the ratio, how many are surviving, you know, both motorcycle and the car industry. Now Livewire was, I mean, depends, maybe not put down, but I think Harley Davidson taking over it means only one thing.
Right. And the thing is, a lot of people need vehicles to drive. Not everyone needs a motocross bike, you know. So like, it's a totally different thing. Yeah.
Replacement parts available. I've seen the website; they're all available on the website. But is that the only way to get them, or do dealers in the U.S. stock certain things? Like, how does that work for replacement parts?
Yeah, so we have, I think, around 120 dealers now in the U.S. and it varies. I mean, some have good stock and some have not enough. So it depends which local dealer you have. And
getting to be a Stark dealer, are they independents? Are they associated with another OEM? Or are some OEMs blocking that? How tough is that to get a dealer network going?
It has depended on market. Here in US, it has not really been an issue. Okay. In other markets, especially KTM dealers have not been allowed, so they've been threatened by the company to if you work with Stark, we will shut you off. Yeah. Okay. So then they lose their business. They can't do it. Yeah. I think here in US, it seems that the dealers have a little bit more power, so that the OEMs, you know, cannot be so aggressive. It's probably a good thing. So we work with, but mostly work with multi-brand dealers, you know. I just wonder how hard it is to get set up when you're the new kid on the block and you're electric and whatever, you know. So no, I think it's not so hard. Can you shout out a couple of dealers in the U.S. who've been really good for you? Do you know, or do you like? Do you have some that, or maybe if you name one, another one's gonna get mad at you? Yeah, maybe. Exactly. Right? Like, yeah, probably. Maybe that was a bad question. Can't knock. Everyone's great. Yeah, all our dealers every are great. Dealer is great. All of our dealers are great. No, I mean some are amazing and some could do more. Yeah, for sure, right? Like it is. Yeah, like it could be for any OEM, right? It's like your employees. What? Yeah. Really? Not at Stark. Some are really good. Not at Stark, he said. Not at Stark. They're all amazing. Most of them. Almost all. Yeah. The media launch, I wish I could have made the media launch. I couldn't make the media launch. I don't remember why, but I was so bummed. And then I saw the videos and Jason Thomas went over there and stuff. And so it seemed like a lot of fun. You guys spent some money on that for sure. Yeah. Get everybody there riding it. It was a nice experience. Yeah. What about, and so talk about Swedish and Spain. What about America? How much do you spend time here? Not enough. No. I mean, I like US. Yeah. And it's a nice place. So no, not at all. I spent a couple of weeks last year, a couple of weeks now. Let's see if I come back this year.
Okay.
Or not.
So only a few weeks of time. Yeah.
I mean, we're quite busy at the factory, you know, so
Yeah.
it's hard to find time to travel. I think it's important though, you know,
Yeah.
especially since this is our biggest market.
Kiefer,
Mm.
good-looking guy.
Mhm.
English is great.
Mhm.
Like owns a motorcycle company that's
Mhm.
millions of dollars.
Yeah.
Life's pretty good. Like
So
life's,
I'm trying to
Dude.
get trying to get some of that aura
Like,
over here.
yeah,
Like,
like-
yeah. Yeah.
Could I get some of your speed, perhaps?
I'll trade you, gladly trade you for some of the looks. I'm glad you do.
Can you imagine being this guy? Just
No,
yeah,
I would probably get myself in trouble.
Right.
Got a little bit of money, got a company, got good looking, got a nice pony.
The
I'm in trouble.
Got a lot of things to do though. A
Yeah.
lot of people that
Probably.
constantly calling you.
It's funny. When you own your own business, you think, oh, it's going to be great. Everybody's like, oh, dude, you own your own business. That's awesome.
Yeah.
But I feel like there's way more stress when it's yours because it's what you've created. So you put more pressure on yourself, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you don't, then your business is not gonna succeed. You know, so if you want an easy life having your own company, well, it depends on the business you do. I think in our case, it's an incredibly difficult business. Not just for me. I think for most people, like it's a lifestyle really. I mean, everyone in the management team are working. Every.
Are you a
week.
hands-on boss,
Yeah.
owner? Like, are you? Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, you're like, hey, like, the guy in the grip department. Can you tell him to put the grips on, bet? Like that type of guy. Like, yeah.
No, I mean,
Okay.
like in general, micromanagement is not a good thing. I
No.
believe that you should avoid micromanaging, but should not be afraid to do it when necessary.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, so if you're always micromanaging, you're not being a leader.
And you're not trusting your
You're
employee.
not trusting your employees. But if you don't micromanage when it's needed, you are also not achieving the best result.
Sure.
So you kind of have to see that and be able to work at a high level and a low level. And
Mhm.
if you need to pack some boxes, you go down and do it.
Yeah.
Like it was quite nice. We did. I don't know if you guys have seen we did a titanium sword this Christmas.
Oh yeah, I did see that. Yeah. How'd
Yeah.
that thing go?
It was great. No, we
Yeah.
had a huge
like-
interest. We
It's
sold
100 only or something? 500?
We did 1,000.
1,000. Okay, yeah.
And
Did you see this thing here? Chris?
No.
You didn't see this?
it's,
No.
it's pretty sick.
I
It's a
missed it.
3D printed titanium sword, like
Hold on.
6,000
I'm gonna
layers.
I'm gonna show him. I'm gonna bring it up here.
And we received them way too late. We promised deliveries before Christmas, and in the end, everyone had to run down to the factory to just pack boxes to try to get them out, so people would get them before,
Oh,
before
yeah.
Christmas.
Oh, when they came in.
That's a nice experience. Yeah.
And it says something too, like when you're the CEO of a company and your employees see you doing some of the grunt work, it sets a tone for the whole brand, I feel like.
Yeah, but I think if you're a manager, owner, whatever, if you're not willing to get your hands dirty, you're not doing your job properly.
Right.
That's such a.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, could get a sword, dude. Pretty sweet,
Everyone needs a titanium sword.
right? Yeah, who doesn't need it, right? I woke up the other day and said I need a titanium sword.
I was honestly surprised you didn't get one of these.
It's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's pretty awesome. It'd be nice to have in the studio, and then if either these guys act up,
Yeah, just grab the sword.
I grab the Stark sword.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and shit gets done.
Perfect.
No, I like
exactly.
that. No, it's pretty cool. Absolutely.
But you gotta have some fun, That's
Yeah.
yeah, sure.
Do you have any business inspirations or business companies? I mean, you mentioned Tesla and the growth they had. Do you have things like that you look at and you're like, that's what I want to be? That's what I want to do?
Yeah, I think you need to draw inspiration from many places. Like if there's just one, maybe you're not creative enough. But I think, of course, like the traditional ones, like Apple is a huge inspiration.
Mhm.
The way that Steve Jobs kind of changed the perception of quality perception of a product. I think that's super, super cool. I think, of course, Tesla is a massive inspiration, having the ability to transform an industry. I mean, like Apple
Yeah.
did as well, for that
Yeah.
matter. I think Spotify is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Swedish
Swedish
yeah,
company?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Koenigsegg, another Swedish company that I find super inspiring. I know the founder quite well, Christian von Koenigsegg. I don't know
What
if
is
you've
it?
seen it. It's like the fastest car in the world.
Oh, okay. No, I don't know.
Super
Yeah.
cool, like $5 million
Yeah.
thing, but super innovative. Like they innovate more than any of the traditional OEMs you can find in the car gas industry, and building some really, really cool stuff. And really an approach where even if they produce just 100 cars per year or whatever it is, like going down to the deepest level and optimizing
Mhm.
every single screw, which I really respect. And I think that's how I want us to work as well, even though we are more mass market than that.
Yeah.
But we should try to make everything better. This is our goal. This
Yeah.
is our company.
How many employees does Stark have?
300.
300.
Yeah.
You drive an electric car?
Yes, Tesla.
Yeah. Tesla?
Yeah. It's a little bit boring though, to be honest. It's a great product.
Yeah.
It's so good, but it's not sexy.
Yeah.
You know, I had a couple of fun cars before, gas cars, and I like electric, but why isn't there a sexy electric car?
Isn't there an Audi coming out? That's pretty cool.
I don't know.
No.
Doesn't Porsche have an electric car that's just?
Yeah, but it's not so cool. Like it's like 3 times a Tesla and less good.
Okay.
You
See,
know?
he knows too much about this stuff.
Yeah, he
so
does.
We think it's bitching. He knows too much.
He's like, no, man, no way.
Yeah.
What color Varg sells best?
Yes.
What?
What do you think?
Red. It's got to be
guess.
red.
Red, yeah.
So it started off as red. Red was number 1. Now it is forest gray.
Forest
Really?
gray.
Yeah, number 1.
I'll be down.
Changed.
I see more cars in that color now.
Yeah, it's
on the
it's
street.
coming a lot actually.
Right.
Yeah, true. But the Snow White, honestly, is the best looking.
Snow White one?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
hard to beat like just a clean white
Yeah,
look.
yeah.
you know?
Yeah, but then it looks, after boot scuffs and everything else, it starts looking...
But the Snow White stays pretty clean. I mean,
Okay.
it's a little bit colder, like a bit bluish white.
Yeah.
It's really nice. It looks better in person than pictures.
Okay.
Now, when we talk about color, is that North America too? Like, do you think North America has more red than? Can you guys pinpoint
Yeah,
that?
we can see it. I don't remember in particular. I don't think there's a big difference.
I know a lot of guys, older gentlemen, that have called me or texted me and said, Eric Phipps, owner of Works Connection, just got a Stark.
Cool.
That's all he talks about. He's like, I made a Stark track in my property. Me and my buddies have Starks, and this is what we do.
That sounds
Right.
like an amazing guy.
Yeah.
Well, if you need some Works Connection parts,
Yeah, exactly.
he'll be happy to help you out.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah. No, yeah. Like, look, going back to what we talked about at the top, like it's pretty cool. And
when you have more than one guy ride them, and you
Yeah.
have some friends, it's
Stark Gang.
it's great. It's so fun.
Yeah, especially when you trail ride, like then it's because you can go out in the forest completely silent together, and
Yeah.
that's
And talk shit to your buddies
yeah,
while
for
you're
sure.
at
Yeah, they hear you.
Yeah.
Well, Anton, did we miss anything? Did we touch on?
No, I think it was a great conversation.
Yeah.
Swedish women.
S-
Unbelievable.
Oh yeah, unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
I know.
The Norwegians are a little bit better.
Really?
Yep.
I went to Gothenburg once. Gothenburg, yeah, and yeah, great. Are you married?
Girlfriend.
Girlfriend.
Yeah,
Okay.
she's here now.
She's here.
Yeah.
That's probably don't.
Like
do
in the
that.
house or in Vegas?
In the hotel.
Okay.
Oh, okay. She's Swedish.
Norwegian.
No.
Oh,
Ah.
look, dude. He's so
Nice recovery,
He's
Anton.
so much better than us.
Nice
he's just
recovery.
Smart. He's smarter. He's better looking.
Yeah.
Come on, I'm not as good as talking at you guys. That's clearly, or
no.
riding for that matter. Either.
Wow.
It
riding
sounds
for
better
him.
when you talk.
Better.
Trust me.
Yeah. And if Stark wants to do anything about that lost 13th place, let me know.
Yeah, we should.
Like reimburse me or make me a trophy or something.
No, we
Yeah.
will. I think reimbursement would be to help you get a top 10 position next
Top
time.
10 position, yeah. Because listen, when that guy went by me, I was cruising. I'm like, I got this. I'm
Can you
tired.
imagine like being on a Stark, creeping up on dark, and just scaring the shit out of them?
I'd love it.
Just passing them.
I'd love to do it. Well,
Yeah.
but dude, he's in 33rd. So how are you? What do you? Like,
I don't know. The dark that I saw that rode yesterday had something for you.
he was good.
Yeah.
250F.
Yes.
That's why maybe
Yeah.
he's a 250F guy.
He is.
I don't know. Man, it's really cool to have you here. I think you came to Vegas just for this trip, right?
Yeah.
For the show. So
Yes.
I really appreciate that. That's awesome. Congratulations on all the success on the
you.
new model. And yeah, it sounds like it's selling well. We're fans. We're cool.
Yeah. Pleasure meeting you.
Likewise.
Pleasure to meet you.
Likewise.
Thank you for the time.
Thank you.
Thank you for being honest and open, I feel like, about the company and the pluses and the negatives and everything else. So, Pulp MX Show, Anton Wass. Thank you very much. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate
Appreciate
it.